Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newington Town Council regular meeting of Tuesday, September 26th, 2023. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. If you would please rise, if you're able, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Next item this evening is roll call. I believe Susan's online for us.
Yes, I am.
Good evening, Susan. If you would please do the roll call.
Sure. Counselor Anist. Deputy Mayor Budrako. Counselor Camillo.
Here.
Counselor Donahue.
Here.
Counselor Mankey.
Here.
Counselor Nagel.
Here.
Counselor Page.
Here.
Counselor Rada.
Here.
Mayor Del Piano.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum. Next item this evening is approval of the agenda. I believe we have one addition. Counselor Page.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd move or request that we amend the agenda to include a resolution. I don't know how much you need me to get into that right now.
So you're adding under new business,
Yes, please.
it would be new business item A, right?
Right, and I would ask that we may need to waive the rules in order to do that.
Correct.
Yep, I'm just looking at the agenda because we don't have new business, so
Right,
that
so
would go
it'd be-
after
it'd be
approval of the
After eight,
minutes.
right?
We'll go after number 9.
Yep, and then I'll go down.
All right. So we have a motion by Counselor Page. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, folks? Your hands up. Are you good?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
another change.
Oh. Do you want to do them both at the same time?
I think we probably make it easier, yeah?
Do you mind if you know what, let's take a vote on the one that's on the table, and then we'll do a second one.
I would just add the reason for this is there's been some horrific behavior happening in our town, some signage and some messages that are hateful. And we feel compelled, I feel compelled, the people that I've heard from in town to do something to make a statement. I appreciate you entertaining this.
Absolutely. Agree with you. Any other comment on that motion? All right, we'll take a vote on this and then we'll go ahead and take the next one. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Counselor Mankey?
I would just move, we would then table, this is gonna get confusing. We'll table number 8, the September 12th meeting minutes. We haven't had a chance to review them yet, so if we could table those, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, is there a second? So tabling item 8,
Eight,
so that
so
means Mitch's
8.
item would become 8.
Yeah.
And we will take the current 8 out.
I'm a perfect date.
All right, any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have our new agenda.
Thank you.
Any other suggestions before I move on? No? Okay,
Just a reminder, Mayor,
yes,
8-0, Counselor Annis absent.
No, that's right.
thank you. Motion passes 8-0, Counselor is absent. Thank you. All right, next item this evening is public participation. Any member of the public is welcome to come forward, or if you're on the Zoom app, you can raise your hand in the public participation window, and we do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. And if you're in the Zoom application, the function you would do is *9 to raise your hand. Welcome, Ms. Francolino.
Hi, Eileen Francolino, 116 Meadow Road. As we just have mentioned, hate speech has once again been posted around our town. For the past 3 or 4 times this has happened, the council has failed to speak out against this hateful rhetoric. Please do not pass up this opportunity again. Hiding behind the First Amendment right to free speech is a cop-out. You all have that same right, and you have an obligation, an even bigger obligation and responsibility. Silence is a sign of complicity. Most of us know that hate has no place in Newington. Please make this clear, take a stand, speak out, so that those who find the need to post this garbage around our town will leave. I'll say it again, hate has no place in Newington. Let's make this clear tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have an attendee online, so if you would indulge me, I'll take the online person next. And I see Ms. Lyons.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive, and I just wanted to call in and see if anyone, the town manager or anyone, the councilors, mayor, can give an update on 690 Cedar Street, which I guess now is known as 1 Myra Cohen Way. There was an executive meeting 2 weeks ago, and I understand that you can't divulge anything out of that. However, this issue has been discussed multiple times, and the last I knew, it was supposed to be sold, and it's been, I think, 8 or 10 years that I've been following it. 4 or 5 town managers, I don't know how many town engineers, and how much staff has changed, but the fact of the matter is, it would be nice if the citizens knew what was going on with the piece of property that the town has owned for many, many years. I'm hoping that there's not some snag that we're not going to be able to sell it. Anything you can share, I would appreciate, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. I'm going to hop back into the room if anybody else would like to come up.
Bob Tallard. You're running for mayor again. So let's review your political career. You ran for mayor in 2013, but you lost to Stephen Woods. Is that correct? Okay. Then somebody left the Republican Town Council. And the Republicans wanted to put you on the Republican Town Council. And the Democrats had no problem with that. They didn't break that 100-year-old tradition that we had until you broke it recently with Carol Ansett. And John Trister should have been there. As you know, you broke a 100-year history. It's just been not really ingrained or entrenched in the charter. But it's been acknowledged that that's what you would do. So John Trister should be there, not Carol. So you were given the job, and then you ran for mayor in 2019. So let's look at some of your accomplishments. Well, you tried to shut down, I don't know if you know this, Mr. Hutka. I'm here, guys, don't worry, I'm behaving myself. Don't shoot me, okay? Mr. Hutka, I don't know if you know this, but they tried to shut down 5 voting stations in the town of Newington. We have 8. We had 8. They tried to shut down 5 before the last election. I don't know if you're aware of that. And right now we're down to 7, but they wanted to drop at the voter registrar, which is Republican controlled with the Republican Town Council. And they wanted to shut down 5 voting stations in the town of Newington before the election. In West Hartford, they tried to do that. And what happened was it was dark, it was chaos. People didn't know where to go to, and a lot of people couldn't even vote. And it was utterly ridiculous what they tried to do, and they should have reflected back on West Hartford because they did that 11 years ago. West Hartford did that in about 2012. And so that failed. And you think they would look at that as a reflective message that, you know what, this isn't going to work out. And we should not do that to take away people's rights. Because basically, Mayor, you violated the 13th, 14th, 15th, 17th, 19th, 24th, 26th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. You just stood up and pledged allegiance to that Constitution. And I'm talking. Thank you.
None of us said anything.
I'm talking.
None of us said anything, Mr. Tallard, please continue.
How's that? Anyway, so you're also in violation of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Are you aware of that? So all those constitutional amendments you're in violation of. I just want to make you all aware of that, and the citizens of the town. And Mr. Hutka, you should be aware of what's going on in the town with situations like that in violation of our Constitution, our beloved Constitution.
All right, we have someone else online with their hand up that I would like to acknowledge next. Welcome, Representative Turco.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, councilors. Can you hear me okay?
We sure can. Welcome.
All right, great. Good evening. I just wanted to take a few moments to address you today. It's been a while because October 1st is coming up and there are about 100 new state laws that are going into effect. The legislative session ended in June. A number of laws went into effect July 1st. A number now will go into effect October 1st. And then some more additional ones will go effect January 1st of 2024. But I just wanted to point out a few that I thought you'd be interested in as the council because they may result in some action that you might want to take and the public in Newington may be interested in. One is regarding the traffic enforcement cameras, red light, high-speed cameras. The Hartford Current actually got it wrong in their article today, saying that starting October 1st, that municipalities can start installing the cameras. You can't do that yet, but you can start the process locally of approving them. There's a town hearing that is required, and you could start locally with our traffic enforcement, the police department, having those discussions. But the Department of Transportation I talked to today, they are creating the regulations that then will be provided to you by January on all of the procedures of where the cameras can be installed, and everything that you need to know to make sure they're implemented to state law. But that is moving along in the process starting now October 1st. There's another law that increases penalties, fines, and prison time for individuals that are speed racing. We know that's a problem on some of our main roads, especially the Berlin Turnpike and on Cedar. And that also includes road takeovers. So individuals participating in this and individuals that are inciting others on social media or other channels will have increased penalty if they are caught. We really want to deal with that issue. I know it's trouble for a lot of residents in Newington and surrounding towns. There is another law that goes into effect that will allow you all to increase the penalties for blight from $100 to $1,000 a day on residential and now commercial properties as well. So that's something to consider. To combat human trafficking and prostitution, there is now a ban on any hourly rates at motels, hotels, and lodging. And so that is just a summary of some of those different laws I thought you'd be interested in. And I'll just conclude with saying that this month is Hispanic Heritage Month. The governor was in Newington yesterday at Rockin' Chicken, owned by two individuals, Miguel and Kate Colon, who are Hispanic, to celebrate the month and all the contributions that the Hispanic businesses and residents here in Newington contribute to the diversity and strength of our town. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you, Mayor, Council, for all that you do, and I look forward to working with you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Representative Turco. Okay, there's no one else online. If anyone else in the room would like to come forward.
Jerry Jensen, 169 Cottonwood Road. And my question is, I guess, I'd like to know why you had a homegrown police chief fired. You have an answer for that?
We do not address the public during public participation. We will have an opportunity afterward to address comments.
Okay, thank you.
Any other member of the public that would like to come up? Okay. We will continue on. The next item this evening, there was no email correspondence asked to be shared, correct,
We did not
counselors?
see any, no.
I didn't see any.
Okay.
And I checked this afternoon.
Yep, me too.
Thank you. Next item is remarks by counselors on public participation. I will just say, well, a couple things. Mr. Tallard has accused us as a council, I think specifically me, of violating voters' rights. And I would say that if people would like to look back at the record of those meetings, the registrars, plural of voters, both Democrat and Republican, brought forward a proposal to this council for our consideration. After much discussion and listening to the public and what their thoughts were on it, it was not passed, it was not changed, as it was brought forward to us to reduce the districts down to the number that they had brought forward. So I'm not sure how we violated a number of amendments of the Constitution on that, by listening to the voters and by taking action as we saw appropriate based on a recommendation brought forward by a bipartisan faction of our government, the Democratic and Republican registrar of voters. And that's what happened. And I would welcome people to look back at the minutes of those meetings. The other gentleman that came forward and asked, the one thing I will say is that we did receive a letter of notice that the chief is leaving. We did not make an announcement at the last meeting because we had just received it and we weren't sure that staff had been notified. And other than that, this council has nothing to do with staffing changes, hiring or firing. So there would never be a discussion at this table about any type of personnel, whether it be the chief or any other staff member. This council doesn't do hiring or firing and would never discuss personnel. So that's my blanket statement on that. Any other folks? Mitch, you have your hand up?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
I just wanted to thank State Representative
Oh,
Gary.
thank you.
Well, no, I just want to thank State Representative Gary Turco for being here tonight, virtually, but for what he and all of our legislators are doing on so many issues. I'm terrified when I see the news. I haven't seen one live, but in person, I've seen them on the news, as many of us have. These the street takeovers, the cars, the motorcycles, the ATVs that seem to be just kind of running wild. Speed racing, there's a romanticized view, I think, of some of the racing that has gone on the turnpike between McDonald's and wherever else for probably decades. And I think it's no longer, in my view, romanticized because we have people being killed on the road, pedestrians hit and killed. And so I appreciate the efforts from a legislative standpoint. I also appreciate what our police officers are doing and putting their lives at risk to intervene in these, what seems like riotous, chaotic situations, and people are getting hurt and more. So thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Page, and thank you for mentioning Representative Turco. I got stuck on the other two and forgot to thank him. So thank you, Representative Turco, for the work you do and for bringing us this update that you had. I know I was actually pleased to hear about the hourly rate thing because I know that's the human trafficking has been a huge issue, and with as many hotels as we have on the turnpike, any efforts from the state to help us with that, we appreciate for sure. Let's see, Councilor Mankey.
Yeah, we're just wondering, again, thank you, Representative Turco, for keeping us advised. I wonder if you just give us a list of the changes so the council could have a view. I think some of these are welcome, and it would be a good idea for us to get ahead of it, especially if they're taking effect in a couple days now. And then we can work how we can work on the traffic cameras or the increasing the ordinance for blight. I think those are areas we would be interested in working on.
Thank you. Councilor Rada.
Yeah, I just want to thank, first of all, several of us have heard through the weekend about the posters that have gone up in town, up on telephone poles, on the Berlin Turnpike, on Cedar Street. And, it has been very troubling, to say the least, to many of us. I want to thank Mrs. Francolino for bringing that to our attention and speaking out. We will be addressing this and speaking to it in a little while during our meeting. But this is not the first time, and most, if not all of us know that it's not the first time that this has happened. It's also happened in other towns where not only town government, but also residents have spoken up that this is not our town. This is not what we choose, how we choose to behave and act. yes, there is free speech and we recognize that, and we have to recognize that, what we like and what we don't like, but that is civil discourse. It's not at night when no one's around or early in the morning. And I've gone online to take a look at this particular group, and I'm not going to name it. I'm not going to give it more publicity. I know that when it's happened in the past, we've reached out and we've spoken to the police department, and they have always been on top of things. But I think it's important that as residents, people voice their concerns. And my concern is that if we don't, we can be viewed as either being complacent or at the very worst, being complicit. And I don't think we can speak to anyone here in our community that would want to see this occurring and condone this type of speech. So I want to thank you for raising it, and someone coming forward and actually taking down some of those signs that have been put up.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Hearing none, we'll continue with our agenda. Next item this evening is consideration of old business. The first item is disband inactive committees. And you'll see that this evening, I don't believe we have any new action to take. This is just an item that we had kept on our agenda to make sure that it doesn't fall through the cracks. The two we're waiting on are town hall renovations and the school code compliance committee. Is there any other update on that?
Very quickly, no milestones, but we're working closer to disbanding both of those committees. They've been meeting again, finishing the final report to disband. So it's coming and they're making progress.
Okay, great. Thank you. I did talk to the chairman of the town hall reno, and he said he's working diligently on getting that report done and working with town staff to make sure that he's got what he needs to do that. So glad to hear that's moving forward. Any council comment or question? Councilor Menke?
Just quick, do we have a ballpark figure on the school code compliance committee? Ballpark figure, ballpark date?
No, but I can check with my counterpart at the school and get a report back to you.
Yeah, I'm just concerned we have that money tied up. It certainly could be used for other things and just sitting there in a fund that can't be used for other things. So I'm sure the school board has other uses for that money that's just sitting there.
Absolutely.
Is that a couple $100,000?
Yeah.
I believe it's 200,000. It was last.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's money that could be used for this year. I mean, it could be used for whatever, but it just has money to use it. Seems silly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Menke. That was one of those that we talked about at budget time, and we're looking forward to getting that money so we can reallocate it to other school projects. All right. Next item this evening under old business is job description adoption. You'll remember, councilors, that at our last meeting, we discussed the youth program coordinator position. I believe this is the one that Rick Hubbard is retiring from, and they were looking to update the description and kind of make it actually a little more meaty to really reflect the actual duties of the job and what it really entails, and change the classification from an A4 to an A6. Mr. Hook, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, not tonight.
Okay. Councilors, do you have any questions or comments before we entertain the motion?
Just that this substantiates what the gentleman in this position did for so many years.
Absolutely.
Right. It's just what it does now. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they have to update it to meet what
To
he.
codify what.
Yes, absolutely.
And I would just point out, he's going to be it's a tough act to follow. He's really good with what he does.
Yeah, very well respected and connected to the community for sure. Who would like to read this motion in for us?
I'll read it in.
Thank you, Councilor Rada.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby approves the amendment to the classification and pay plan by approving a job description for the Youth Program Coordinator, A6 position, as recommended by Thomas Hutka, Town Manager, in his capacity as Personnel Director.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Any further discussion, councilors? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Councilor Innes absent. James was giving me a look. I had to remember.
The stink eye.
That's right. As he should. All right, next item this evening is refunds for September 26th. Deputy Mayor Badreko?
Resolved that property tax refunds in the amount of $9,053.67 are hereby approved in the individual amounts. And for those named on the request for refunds of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Is there a second? Second by Counselor Rada. Any discussion, counselors? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Ann is absent. The approval of the minutes and on to the new item 8, which is the motion that Counselor Page brought forward for us. And I'm thankful that you did. I plan on making some comments, but I think a motion is a much more strong message to send. So thank you for that. Before you read it, if I could make one quick suggestion based off of Counselor Rada's comments. We hate to give a group like this much steam. So while I think for the purpose of the resolution, you might want to mention it once, but perhaps in the following paragraphs where you have the name of the organization, we can just give them the name of the group.
I'm fine
And take
with,
away some of their.
I'm fine with that.
Good, yes, good.
Okay. Counselor Mankey?
Just maybe James refresh me, because we have to take action today. Do we read the motion and then go to take action?
You've already added it to the agenda.
Right.
Where,
Nobody's coming.
We would have to waive the rules.
We want to waive the rules, so.
if you want to take action tonight, correct, we would issue a waiver of rules, vote on that, complete it. You can move the resolution itself and call
And then-
for
then
public
discuss it.
comment
Right.
during that prior to your final vote.
Cool. So I make a motion, we waive the rules to consider this, or I guess call a resolution. So
Okay. Second by Counselor Page. Discussion on the waiving of the rules. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Annis absent. James, remind me, because usually when we waive the rules, we do offer the public an opportunity to participate on the item that we are voting on. Is that now? Or we read the motion first, then offer public, then we vote?
Motion. Discussion prior to the vote, you can have your public participation.
Thank you.
Yeah, no.
All right, so Counselor Page, I would give you the floor if you'd like to read the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Patriot Front is an American white nationalist and neo-fascist hate group that is a splinter group splitting from the alt-right neo-Nazi Vanguard America organization in 2017. And whereas this group's information and propaganda posted on its website, social media, and other media outlets promotes traditional Americana along with fascist symbolism and rhetoric, including anti-immigration, anti-democracy, white supremacy, and anti-Islamic propaganda. And whereas the Anti-Defamation League, ADL, has determined that this group generated 82% of reported incidents in 2021 involving distribution of racist, anti-Semitic, and other hate-filled propaganda in every state in the United States. And whereas this group has begun organizing with the town of Newington, posting its signage unlawfully on town telephone poles throughout Newington, inviting persons to visit their website and other media sites. And whereas this group has a First Amendment constitutional right to its hateful viewpoints, the town council also has a First Amendment right to speak out against such dangerous and hateful speech. Whereas this town council, on behalf of the town of Newington, wishes to make it clear to this group and other such hate-filled organizations that such hateful and discriminatory speech and propaganda is not welcomed or desired here in Newington. Be it hereby resolved that the Newington Town Council, on behalf of the town of Newington, hereby denounces the organization and hateful and discriminatory messaging of this group and urges the residents of Newington to be aware that this group is active in the Newington community and to unite as a community to minimize this group's divisive and dangerous conduct.
Seconded by Counselor Mankey. Any further discussion, counselors? Counselor Page?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that I know when these issues have come up in various ways in the past, some of the counsel we've received from our own body as well as other organizations who in authority who know these things have been, we do need to, as Councilor Rada and others may point out, not give these groups oxygen to fuel them by doing what we're doing right now. My sentiment is, and the rationale for bringing this forward, is that since 2016, and that isn't my data, it's the Southern Poverty Law Center's data, hate groups have been dramatically on the rise. Anti-Semitic acts have been dramatically on the rise from coast to coast. We have shootings and killings in synagogues and fires. We have people of all stripes being killed. The LGBTQIA community is under assault. The BIPOC organizations and groups are under assault. And I think right now we don't have a choice. There's so much oxygen fueling this. We need to, and I appreciate very much the unity in taking a stand and working with our police officers and other authorities, state and federal, to push back on this and to continue to make Newington the best, safest community it can be. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Page. Counselor Donahue?
Yeah, I agree. Newington is no place for hate, and especially this group that represents that. My concern is that every time a sign goes up and somebody complains, are we going to have to do a resolution, right, and break the rules and just to do everything? Or can we just do a resolution against hate messaging, right? Because I mean, I'm not taking this lightly. I'm not making it a general statement, but people today are easily offended by anything. I don't want somebody coming in with a, I don't want to go on whatever, right? Something that they're offended by, or they go and they do research on the group and they say this, that, and the other thing, then they're going to come to us with a resolution, right? We're setting a precedence here, right? So we just turn this into a generic hate messaging resolution, or do we, I just don't want to do this every time somebody puts up a poster that is not nice. And I read the stuff. It's not nice, right? But, I don't want to do this every council meeting because we're getting into that time of the year, and wait till next year, it's going to get even worse, right? So that's my only suggestion. I totally agree. This stuff shouldn't be out there. Thanks to our wonderful, internet, it is. But I just want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up to have to do this every other month.
I agree with John.
Counselor Page, what are your thoughts on that? It's your resolution.
If you're asking, I think that it's offensive to say that people are offended by things, or we're going to have a resolution every month. People are being murdered in this country.
Oh, no, I don't think that
I'm not
was.
saying that. I started out with saying, I totally agree with hate. Hate has no place. I just don't want to, so this group puts up a sign, this month, and we denounce this group. What if another group puts up a different sign, same mantra, next month, right? And people come to us and say, this is bad. We need to oppose this, right? Where if we said we oppose all hate speech, right? I'm not saying it's, it's difficult to say without saying, giving examples. And I don't want to get into that because it'll eventually come back and bite me, right? But I just, it's offensive, yes. Is it a good resolution? Yes. Could it be broader? Probably. That's my only thing. I agree that, it shouldn't be happening. That's not, what I said or what I meant.
Counselor Mankey?
I agree. This is offensive. And if it takes us making a resolution every meeting, then that's what we have to do.
Okay.
I think this is from what Counselor Page has told me about this group, and what we've seen in the past. Yeah, this resolution has to go through. And I think you take everything by, what's written and what's posted based on an individual basis. And we have to, it seems like a no-brainer that this is not appropriate. But unfortunately, we're in a society now where even we see at the council table hate. We see comments from the public where hate is allowed to exist. And it's just, when are we going to wake up as a society and say, okay, this is enough. This is enough is enough. And so I support this resolution. And if we have to bring up another one, when another sign goes up, we bring up another sign goes up. And if we have to bring up when another sign goes up, bring another one. I mean, we just do it until someone gets the message. At least the 9 of us get the message. I appreciate Councilor Page taking the time to put all the whereases in here, because there's a lot of whereases, and And it took a long thought to do this, but.
You have his lawyer do it. That's what.
Yeah. But if,
I did have help.
Yeah.
because I'm not an attorney.
but if not, we, if we need this to make a yearly statement that, we don't like hate groups in our town, then we make a yearly statement. We don't like hate groups in our town.
Yeah.
We don't like hate groups in my neighborhood. I don't like hate groups on my street. I don't like hate groups when people come up and speak at the table here with hate and venom in their voice. That just isn't appropriate.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Badrejko.
Well, I agree that this particular incident, I think, was very egregious, and the organization should be called out as it was in this resolution. But on the second page, Councilor Page, you did put in a little little bit broader of wishes to make it clear that this group and other hate-filled organizations are not welcome or desired in Newington. And maybe the final paragraph, you can make something like the Newington Council on behalf of Town of Newington hereby denounces this organization and any organizations that attempt to enter our town with hateful and discriminatory, something like that. I wonder if you can just broaden it a little.
Happy to your words, I'm happy to amend that as stated just now, and other hate-filled organizations.
Or hate-based organizations, hate-based organizations.
Absolutely.
So you'll amend your motion?
I would amend my motion.
I will amend my second to amend this first.
Perfect. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, who's next? Councilor Rada?
Yeah, I just in response to what we've just been discussing, that, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know the police department probably knows, I'm sure knows much better than I do, that this is not the first time that this group has posted in town. There may have been others, and I'm sure that there will be others. But making the statement and speaking to this organization specifically, but then broadening it, which I think has been done to a degree, and now we're going to amend it even further. I think it's fine. It sends a very clear message, and we may have to clarify periodically and address this in this way and other ways, but I think this is a very good and a very strong first step. And I want to thank everyone who has raised this and voiced their concern, including everyone around this table.
Councilor Camillo?
I'm going to stick with what Gail said.
Councilor Nagel?
I approve also of the resolution with the addition that's been suggested by Councilor Badrejko. Hate has no place in this town. And we need to not only specifically call out individual organizations, but to strongly, and if the change is accepted, which I'm assuming will be, can make it more definitive that any hate group is not approved by this council and hopefully future councils and the town in general.
Thank you, Councilor Nagel. Councilor Mankey?
I just wonder if Councilor Page wouldn't just read the last paragraph, so we'd have, just for the record, I think we should read it in so we have it corrected. Or we agree to.
Sure. Be it hereby resolved that the Newington Town Council, on behalf of the town of Newington, hereby denounces the organization and hateful and discriminatory messaging of this group and other hate-based organizations, and urges residents of Newington to be aware that this group and others are active in Newington, in the Newington community, and to unite as a community to minimize all of these groups' divisiveness and dangerous conduct. All of these groups' divisiveness and dangerous conduct. To the other councilors' point.
Thank you. You'll amend your second to reflect that?
I will.
Thank you both. I would just add my personal thanks, Councilor Page, for bringing this very well-written motion forward. I think you did an amazing job on that.
I don't take credit out of that, but thank you.
We all need help. That's
We all
fine.
need help sometimes.
But you brought it
Working
forward.
together, and I appreciate you, Mayor, and everyone working together at this table to do the right thing.
Yeah, I think we had some good commentary and good collaboration on making it even more inclusive of those groups to make sure that we're sending a strong message that hate is not welcome in Newington of any kind. I don't care what group it is. I don't care which group they're targeting. But no hate is welcome in Newington, and this council stands united on that. Thank you. We do have to take a vote. Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
we have
before
to add
discussion
public
ends,
participation first. Yep.
I just like to say, finding this out, we'll make sure that all of our town staff out are working regularly in the right of way, including the highway department, the police department, our planning and zoning people are on heightened alert, whether it's on public or private property, certainly in our own town right of way, to make sure that, no freedoms of speech are violated, but for hate messaging, that type of thing, that we act on it quickly. So I'll
And in the past,
spread
I
the
know
word.
the police chief had talked to us about some leaflets that were sent out in the past, and I don't know if it was the same group or not. I would have to look back, but we have had this happen a couple of other times in town, and the police department responded extremely quickly and did what they could. The problem is that these groups are, in my opinion, and this is my opinion only, cowards. And so they do this under the cover of night when they're able to get away with it without people seeing it. And so unfortunately, our police do the very best they can, but are often unable to do as much as they'd like. So hopefully with the entire community becoming more aware of it and us taking a stance here tonight, we can work better together as a community with our police department to help with that as well. So if you see anything, and if you have any footage on your cameras, there's cameras everywhere now and everybody has cameras on their homes. So if anybody has anything, certainly feel free to report it to the police department. All right, so we do have a motion. We have a second. We have had our discussion. I'm going to open it to
I
members.
have one
Oh,
point
I'm
to
sorry.
make.
Go ahead.
Just
Councilman Eagle.
major but minor question. Telephone poles are not owned by the town. They're owned by the telephone company or by just to clarify, I'm glad you made the comment, not just town, but also private property.
Yeah, they are private property.
I dare say it's questionable. It's towns right of way, so we own that strip of property, and it goes back beyond the sidewalk in many cases, at least to the back of the sidewalk. Who owns the face, and then the utility poles by and large are owned by the utilities, but if it comes down to a question, we'll enforce on the basis that we own the right of way.
Well, my point was,
We're more
I
active
pointed
than-
out, my point was, I'm glad you mentioned that because then that clarifies.
Right.
I guess what I'm saying, we're not going to get into picking nits with the utility, who owns what or who's responsible. What we will take care of any hate messaging in our
Who
right of
owns
way.
it? You're
Yeah.
gonna look into it.
Apologize later.
Thank you.
Ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
All right, so because we are waiving the rules this evening, we do always offer the opportunity for public participation on an agenda item that is requiring the waiving.
Catherine Morales, 44 Boston Street. Mitch, I want to say thank you for bringing that up, and thank you to every one of you for hopefully voting yes. It sounds like that's where you're headed. I think that's very, very, very positive that everyone worked together. There's no place in our town for hate, and thank you. I think that's great.
Thank you. You have a hand up online, so I'll take that one next. Welcome, Mr. Trister.
Hi, good evening, everybody. John Trister, 81 Woodland Street. I just wanted to take a minute to also thank Councilor Page and Councilor Rada for bringing this resolution forward. And I want to thank all of you for approving this resolution, as it appears you will. Leaders have a responsibility to stand up against hatred when it tries to infiltrate our community, and you are all rising to the occasion. I agree with Councilor Menke. If it takes more resolutions to send the message that hate is not welcome here, then that's what it takes. Thank you for taking a stand against this. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Trister. You too.
Hey there, AJ Tiniakos, 129 Rosalie Ave. Thank you for bringing this up, and thanks everyone for acknowledging it. I wanted to bring these signs to add a little bit of tangibility to what we're actually talking about here. So I called Eversource this morning, told them about the signs. They gave me the go ahead to take them down. So I grabbed a couple. I drove around town, and on the surface, these signs really don't say anything too egregious. United we stand with a cobra, and I don't know what that blue thing is. This one, no more foreign war. Foreign wars, but some wars are okay, I guess. Strong family, strong nation. That's, none of these really say anything too offensive. This is a little offensive. It's a picture of America and it says, not stolen, conquered. It's the same thing. And then this one is to defend American labor. So, at the surface, these things, most people would hear this and be like, yeah, as stated, what's wrong with that? But it's really about where these messages are coming from and the intent that these messages are trying to have on the people who are reading them. So I cut off the website link that was posted on these. I threw those away. I'm gonna throw these away too, but looking into the group, as Councilor Page said, their goals and their ideals and what they think America should be doesn't really align with what the general public thinks that America should be. We're a melting pot. Eastern European white people came over, they took over, but that's not really indicative for them to be like the future rulers of this country. So I want to just shed a little bit of light because, when someone who sees this sign, especially someone, a person of color, someone who comes from a different religious background than what these people approve of, when they see this, people feel fear. People see this and they think, if this is in my town, then I could run into one of these people. I could maybe someone sees me and then they'll act violence upon me. We could even see on some of our Facebook posts, there are people in this town who defends these signs. You know what I mean? So it's here. This energy, this hatred, it's in our town. So I appreciate you guys all being on the same page about denouncing this kind of stuff. It definitely is respectable. You've earned my respect if you voted through. And appreciate your time. Hope you guys have a great night.
Thank you. Any other members of the
Public? Welcome, Mr. Plourde.
Good evening, Matthew Plourde, 258 Audubon Avenue. I also want to thank Councilor Page and all the help that you received to put this resolution together, and thank the council for moving forward with approving it as it seems you will. When I first heard the news that this had happened in our community again, I felt fear. I felt fear for my friends in this community who, when I was at school, would text me pictures of the leaflets that they had received at their doors with a lot more vile language on them than those signs. I was fearful for my family. It's not so long ago when they moved from Puerto Rico to the mainland and were greeted with signs at apartment buildings that said no dogs, no Puerto Ricans on them. It's not that long ago. It's not that long ago, frankly, when we had residents in our community demonstrate in the center of town and speak up that they felt watched walking around their own neighborhoods as if they didn't belong. So I take it very seriously. I take it very personally. And I think I'm proud that this council has taken a personal responsibility to say no and to affirm that hate has no place in our community. At the same time, though, as Ms. Francolino mentioned, as others have, as Councilor Rada has, this was not the first time. And of course, it will not be the last time. But when this has happened in the past, statements like this were not made for whatever reason. Police, our brave men and women in uniform made valiant efforts to keep us all safe, as they always do in those instances and others. But this council did not make a statement. And so I feel as though, it's no wonder why this group felt every opportunity to renew those efforts again when they just most recently did this past weekend, because there was a lack of that statement. And I think the rest of our residents have a responsibility and a right to understand that that was the response, no response, when this happened in the past. And so again, I thank the council for this action. I sincerely do, because for me and for the people who I am friends with, who are my family, this means a lot. And at the same time, to your point, Majority Leader Mankey, should something like this happen again, it may take a million other resolutions, but every single last word of them will be worth it. And every single last word of them would have been worth it too, if they were made when these incidents initially occurred months ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Any other member of the public? Any other further council comment? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Ennis absent. We're on now to written and oral communications from the town manager.
Yes, just a very short note that the large dog section of the town's dog park located on John Stewart Drive will be closed for about a week and a half while we make improvements there. So again, just the large dog portion of the dog park.
Okay. Thank you. Any council questions?
That's to the left, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Large holes in
I just want, unless you had other items, town manager, did you have other items?
I do not.
I just wanted to thank our town manager for, I mean, I've emailed you a few items in the last week or two when residents ask me for assistance or they're looking for feedback on how to solve a problem, and you're very responsive. Thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that. And again, I encourage any member of the public, any business owner or manager, we have an open door. Please let us know what's going on, and suggestions and compliments and even complaints. Let us know what's going on out there, and we'll act as well as we can. But thank you for saying that. It's very nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, Councilor Donahue.
Is there any update on the completion of East Robbins or Robbins?
Yeah.
Because I got asked that a couple times when I'm walking around and when I'm trying to have peace and quiet in the gym on Friday.
Me too.
Let me check. I'll get your report back.
All right,
And,
I assume they gotta pave it before November.
They really should. The asphalt lasts a lot longer in warm weather, but I kind of wondered about myself as I drive through there, but let me get the definitive answer from.
I think the issue is there's no line, so people lose their minds, right? I mean, there's been 2 lanes for.
Well, that intersection is dangerous with lines on a good day.
Right, so it's.
Don't miss a line.
So yeah, if you can let us know and then we can, I can put it out on Facebook and say, hey, in case you're interested.
Well, it raises a question too. We should probably send an alert out to especially neighboring homes and businesses.
Yes,
we do when we start the project, we should in the middle.
Probably an update. And,
Thank you.
And Alumni Road, is that scheduled to start this year?
I'm getting involved. This is one of the many projects that I inherited that kind of was without a lot of direction. So I'm trying to figure that out and work with planners and engineers, and just don't yet have an answer, but
all right,
it's next on the list.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Councilor Rada?
Yeah, I'm concerned about, it's the next bit of construction on Robbins. It's not East Robbins, but farther up, almost to Maple Hill. I know some people that live in that area have questioned when that will be completed and what might be happening to that little greenway and the grass island, and had some ideas about how it could be used as, a small park area, because folks that live there have used that in the past and would like something that's attractive rather than what they see now, which I know can't be attractive because the construction is taking place.
You're talking about on Robbins though, but down by the Maple Hill.
Go towards Maple Hill up by
you want to answer?
Indian Hill.
I can just report that green strip is going to still be there.
Yeah.
The goal was to make the green strip lower, so it conforms to the rest of the highway. So it's not like, because you remember that green strip, and I remember this from, we had many public hearings when they first proposed this, I think 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The problem with the green strip was so tall,
yeah,
so high that it caused traffic. They don't like that with traffic. So they're going to level it down and then we put the green strip there. So the green strip will still be there. They will replant trees, And I think the bus shelter stays, comes back. I guess it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But as I drove by today, as they were pulling out the sign saying Berlin is this way. So I saw the two guys struggling to pull it out of those comical. But yeah, the strip stays there. It's just gonna be a little lower.
Okay, yeah, because folks were concerned, they want some beautification in their neighborhood and it would be a perfect place.
Yeah, so it will still stay there.
Yeah,
It's just gonna be a little bit less higher.
Right, and the bus station and the bus covering or whatever they call it is being moved down, so this buses.
So there's a cutoff, the turnoff,
Yeah.
yeah. That was the plan anyway, so.
I think that will make folks happy.
Counselor Nagel?
Yes, just waiting my turn. People that I've talked to, because I live in that area, have expressed the same concern, which has previously been mentioned by other counselors. And also the question not only as to when it's going to be paid, because there will come a season soon where evidently they can't make macadam or whatever they call it that's put on the road, and that would put it off till spring, and people are a little dismayed about it further. And the reiterations of what that's all going to look like, what it was presented to us, I believe, several years ago, doesn't appear what's happening now. And people are concerned as to what the final vision is going to be of those streets, because it's their streets they have to travel on every day. And it also includes some of the other pieces that people have mentioned that I won't go into before. So is there going to be a center strip that is has some vegetation on it? Several people are quite confused, and indeed I am, as to what's happening, having traveled it quite often. The corner of Robbins and Willard, if you go on Robbins and you're turning south on Willard, and I'm sure this is true with other turns, there are manhole covers that are up quite high. If you don't know, and you go more than 5 miles an hour, you're going to have a little problem with your tire, let alone keeping yourself from being surprised and swerving somewhat. That's one minor thing.
Well, that's not so minor if you hit it. And that one, I didn't realize that was happening, but from my experience in engineering, I do know.
And I do it
when they do the final lift of asphalt.
Day I happen to travel that way, which is 4 or 5 times a week at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they do the final lift of asphalt, it should all be even.
I realize
that. However, the contractor should be putting in transitions in the.
And I also compliment you and your staff. One of the residents on Robbins had a problem with their driveway in the road, and they were having, for them, a major problem with the levels, and the town immediately came out and resolved it, whether it's the town's responsibility or not.
Good.
So,
Good to hear that. But we'll look at doing temporary transitions so that people don't have the raised manhole covers.
Thanks.
Counselor Mankey?
Maybe we could just suggest that for our next meeting, or the leadership anyway, put it on an agenda to have the town engineer come give us a quick update, because we had those discussions a while ago, but they were a while ago, and the plans may have changed, or they may be not as fresh in our memories as they should be. So maybe we should have somebody come in and give us a quick update on what the process is.
Good idea.
To this meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure that they pour asphalt. Once it's ready to go, the asphalt part is fast. I watched them do my street years ago, and they can do your street in 20 minutes. So I'm sure this will go fast once they're ready for it, and it looks like they're getting pretty ready for it. It would be nice if the rain held off so they could actually finish the job, because I think that way you should put in a dock so that we can park our boats. But I think it is somewhat delayed because of the weather. So I think the process is working. But
and we certainly won't wait. We'll get you until 2 weeks to get you all updates and work with the neighborhood to get them.
And it is a state project. So it's not our town project. It's a state project. So there's another layer to it.
Okay. I don't see any other hands, so we'll continue on to council liaison committee reports. Counselor Nagel.
Just a minor thing, the CROG meetings have not taken place during the summer. The policy board, they will start being held as of tomorrow. I will be attending via Zoom that meeting, And I will tell the town manager what's transpired. I know he gets written comments about it, and I'll handle things from there.
All right, thank you. Counselor Donahue?
As many people in the room probably know, our long-term volunteer at NCTV passed away last week. She fought the good fight for 5 years, but, decided to take her ball and go home, as she said. There's no services plan. She didn't wish any of that stuff. On her Facebook page, Patty's Journey, she has put a list of places if you'd like to make a donation. You can go there and take care of it. But as of now, there's nothing planned.
Okay. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Rodrigo?
Just to add on to that, not only was she a mainstay at NCTV, but Patty Foley was chairperson of the Environmental Quality Commission and also very active on the library. And I do believe she did things with the senior center as well. So she touched an awful lot of people in this town. And we miss you, Patty.
Any other council liaison committee reports? We'll continue on to public participation. Any member of the public is welcome to come forward or participate on Zoom. We ask that you state your name and address for the record and that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you're in the Zoom application, *9 will do the function to raise your hand and let us know that you'd like to be recognized. We do have Rose Lyons. Ms. Lyons?
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I was glad to hear you discussing some of the projects that are going on around town, because Facebook has been running rampant with questions being thrown out regarding what's happening with the car wash, what's happening with this, what's happening with that. And I have to be honest, I've been in and out of the meeting because I've had some other calls coming in that I had to take. But towards the end here, when Councilor Rada was asking about the green space, I thought she was referring to the green space up near Maple Hill Avenue. And then Councilor Menke and Councilor Donahue started talking about the green space down by Robbins and Maine. So I'm a little bit confused, and I think probably anybody watching might be confused, even though I'm admitting I was in and out of the meeting. I go to quite a few meetings. I listen to a lot. I've been to the presentations for that area. And I think I had suggested 2 weeks ago that you get the town engineer or the town planner or whoever in to maybe explain to the town council what exactly is happening. That project on Robbins Avenue, people thought it was a state project. It's not a state project, as you know. And there's other projects that we've gotten grants for that I've had questions, where have they gone? Are they going anywhere? Are they not going to happen? Garfield Street, we had a grant for that area before the town hall was even built. So I'm glad to hear you discussing it amongst yourselves, because I'm sure as you're all going out knocking on doors that these questions are being asked of you and you don't have the answers as far as I can see. The other thing I meant to mention in the beginning was I also found a lot of information in the town manager's monthly report, and saying that I'm not coming to the meetings. I believe that it's still online, at least I hope it is, or I can get a copy of it maybe in the town clerk's office. And unfortunately, I didn't hear your answer about 690 Cedar Street either, because I had a important phone call that I had to take, but I understand there's no back and forth. I just had to get it out there that with everything being bounced around Facebook these days, this is one of the easier things that I think you can help the residents out with, getting the straight information and not just everybody guessing as to what's happening. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. I don't have any other hands up online at the moment. Anyone else in the room that would like to come up?
Bob Tallard. Mr. Hucker, this is the second written request that I've offered to. I'm going to give to John when I'm through talking. Just relax, guys. And I'm going to give to John Donahue because I'm trying to get on NCTV. And for over a month, He's not responded to my calls, my emails, my text messages, nothing. So I'm going to get up after I'm through with 3 minutes and I'm going to hand him this. And this is my second request. Now, it's supposed to be free speech, but it's controlled by the Republican Party. They control everything in this town from top to bottom. And
Mr.
that's,
Teller, NCTV is not a town organization. They're a private organization. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that.
and he runs it. So he's ignoring me. So I thought
But
we're
it's
not
not a
supposed to,
town council
I thought we're
issue,
not supposed
sir.
to interact.
The purpose of public participation is for town council issues. That's not a town council issue.
Not my time.
Mr. Towler, by rules of procedure, that is not a town council issue.
So well, let's talk about you then, since you brought up, okay, Keith Chapman, you brought Keith Chapman back on, supposed to be running a tight budget. Well, you gave him a $30,000 bonus. Well, that's a real tight. Why don't you just give that to $1,000 to maybe all the people in the town that may be having trouble paying their mortgage on their house or to the soup kitchen? No, but you gave it to a millionaire because you brought him back and he wasn't living in the town. Keith Chapman was not living in the town the second time around when he came here during COVID, but yet you allowed him to bypass the charter. And he was not living in the town, but he was representing the town of Newington. You broke your own charter by allowing that to happen. Now you don't want to talk. Now let's move on. Well, we're down 9 police officers. And yes, you did fire the chief, by the way, okay? For the record. What else do I have here? Let's talk to the charter. Let's see. I think that's about, Jennifer Akana, just to let you know, just to correct you on what I said about the Constitution and the voting, Mr. Hudka, I was talking to Jennifer Akana when this was going on a couple of years ago, and she's a Republican on the Register of Voters. And she told me, and I'm quoting her directly, we stopped because it's a fight that we couldn't win. We stopped because it's a fight that we couldn't win. So she was referring to shutting down 5 voting stations within the town of Newington. And like I said, they were able to shut down 1, which is in violation of many of our constitutional rights, Mr. Hudka. And they did not do anything to stop them. And finally, people protested it up and it just kind of went away. So I'm going to give this to John Donahue now for the record. Okay.
I would ask that you give it to the clerk of the council. That's how we operate. Thank you. And he'll pass it to the appropriate person.
How's everything? How's the family?
State Representative Turco on the line. Representative Turco?
Hello. I usually don't comment twice in one evening, but I just wanted to say that I did hear Councilor Mankey's request with the list of laws that are going into effect October 1st. So I will get that together, hopefully by the end of this week, if not by early next week, with list of laws I think you'd be interested in and with descriptions. And then I'm always available if there's additional questions regarding some of these laws and implementation. I can ask the attorneys and people who assist with getting you that information to help you with that. And then I just want to add, thank you so much for passing the resolution against this hate speech. I know whenever this has happened in the past, and again, this time, there are residents that contact me that get really upset. It scares them, and they just, want to feel like our community stands up against it. And doing it together bipartisanly today, unanimously, was a great show of that support. And I do think it's so important that we continue to speak out against this hate speech, because I know I was talking to the state representative from Bristol, who said that they're actually seeing rallies on the ground there from these groups. So if we don't stand up together like you did tonight, going forward, these groups might be emboldened. They may think that Newington is a place that will be friendly towards them, and we may see this escalate. So thanks again for all your leadership on this, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else in the room that would like to come forward? Remarks by councilors. Councilor Page.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank everyone who spoke tonight. I just found it moving, and I would hope that, and I want to thank you, Mayor, and thank everyone at this table for voting unanimously in support of this resolution. I hope that we could be inspired to bring together, I don't know, sometimes the boundaries around my role here and all of our respective roles here versus being regular old citizens out in the community, but inspired to come together with our synagogue, our churches, our temples, our places of business, other leadership in town, other stakeholders, and maybe think about, when we all have a minute, everybody's busy, a forum where we could come together in the same place, Republicans and Democrats, white and black, gay and straight, and so forth, and talk about the vision we have collectively for Newington, which was manifest tonight. And I would hope that we could maybe work on that. So I know we've got an election happening, we've got Thanksgiving and Christmas and all kinds of busyness, but this is important. And I think we're demonstrating tonight that we have the will to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Budrako?
Yeah, just a few comments. First, I know Representative Turco will be working on that list regarding the laws, but for a quick overview, there was a very good article, front page article in the Hartford Current, it was either yesterday or the day before, which in very simple language gave an explanation of the laws that are into effect on October 1st, including the penalties and who it applies to. So again, that was a more simple language explanation if anybody's interested. Second of all, Ms. Lyons, interesting, she did bring up the car wash, and I know on Facebook, the car wash on Penn Road, that always seems to be a topic because it's been completed for like over a year or whatever, but yet not open. And I wonder if, Mr. Hutka, I did hear that the problem has been identified and it's been sent to resolution. I believe it has to do with some, not town engineering, but project engineering issues and MDC issues. And maybe you can just clarify for us a little bit.
Yeah, I will try to summarize a very, very long story, but for many months now and into the future, and now and into the future, the problem has been connecting to the sewers and getting the right permits from the MDC. Apparently, the original design was not completely worked through, and they were proposing in the design, and then in the which became the construction, they were connecting to a sewer that could not handle a facility of that size. So now they're working not only on a connection issue and an engineering and construction issue, but then easement issues as well to get from point A to point B so that the sewer ends up in the right pipes. I don't know, and we're not directly, the town and town officials are not directly involved in that issue, but by the looks of it, just my experience in the business, it might take a while before they make that connection. Yeah.
And I guess just one other comment I want to make. I really, again, appreciate Councilor Page for bringing the resolution forward. It's very easy to get impassioned and involved about such egregious groups or organizations that espouse the type of rhetoric that comes forward from these groups. But I do hope that it reminds me of, probably most of you are too young to remember, there was a song from Hair about, do you only care about the bleeding? Do you only care about the, faceless crowd? How about a needy friend? And as I'm reading things on Facebook lately, I think we need to think about hatred and hurtful comments and untruths and linking people to groups that they have absolutely no no taste for, no desire for, but there's a lot of hatred. And people won't say that it's hatred, but it's hate-filled rhetoric on Facebook. So while we want Newington to be a place where hate has no home, and this is a really good start. Let's start about our one-on-one interactions with each other on social media and face-to-face. I just have to say that.
Thank you. Counselor Mankey?
Just quick, to Counselor Page's suggestion of having some kind of forum, there is a Newington Council of Churches, which might be the way to start that. It's a totally faith group, and it might be the way to start that discussion. And they can probably move faster with something like this than we could. And it would be probably well received, I think. So yeah, we might want to contact them, and I know they're a group that's looking for a cause, and this might be a good cause. To Councilor Pacheco's point of view, yeah, hate. This egregious is easy to see. The hate that we see on Facebook, or the hate that we identify on the street. We tend to ignore that and say, "Oh, that's just that group, or that's just that group," and let it go. Even some of the anger and venom that we see at this table is not appropriate. Discussion, as Councilor Badal said, discussion of issues is always welcome, but in a civilized manner. Discuss issues in a hateful manner, or just to make your point, it doesn't get us anyplace. And just for Miss Lyons, I'm sorry if I confused you. I was speaking of the green down by the corner of Robbins and Main that is being lowered. The other green up by the upper section of Maple Hill, but where it connects with Maple Hill, is not being touched, as I understand it. That's
Up by Indian Hill, and which is what I was asking.
Okay,
about.
so we were looking at two different green spots, but one green spot's being lowered and one green spot's being.
The two green spots are good.
They're going to be green. So the other one's not being touched. There was a plan to make a cut through there or rearrange the roads, and I believe that was not followed through with, and because of the residents' issues and concerns. And I think that the configuration of the road stays the way it is. The green space hasn't been touched as yet.
Right.
Just a curb has been put on there, but the green space doesn't change. So sorry if I confused you. I was a little confused there myself sometimes.
Okay, Ms. Lyons mentioned the 690 Cedar Street piece, and I will say that has not gone all the way through yet. And so there are some things going on with that property that are still kind of covered under what I would consider executive privilege at this point under real estate. So we are not able to discuss more in detail yet. So I would just say stay tuned, and we'll give you updates when we are able to. I didn't want to say this earlier. Mr. Plord spoke earlier. I just wanted to address some of his comments about why this council didn't take action in the past. It actually is hurting my heart to think that there was a perception that we didn't take action because there was some sort of tolerance at this table for that kind of hate, because that was not the case. We do the best we can at this table based on the advice we get. And the advice that I got, and I can't speak for everyone because I don't remember if we got it as a council or it was in a conversation I had with our police staff at the time. Did we get it as a group? Was that they were recommending we not take action at our table because they didn't want us to give credence to that group, because it was kind of a small isolated incident that they were hoping wouldn't grow. So at the time we were advised to not do that. And I didn't want to make those comments earlier while we were considering the motion, because I didn't want to in any way, shape, or form cast shadow on the motion that was on the table. So that was why I didn't make those comments earlier, but that was advice that was given to the council, and there was a reason we didn't do this earlier. And honestly, if you had mentioned it to me earlier today, I don't know how I would have responded. I might have been nervous to do it based on the advice we had gotten in the past. But I am very, very grateful that we did it tonight. I feel better, especially if there was any perception in the public eye for why we hadn't spoken out in the past. So we know where we stand now. We've all spoken enough on it. I don't need to keep talking about it, but there is no tolerance for hate here for any group, any person, any human in this town. So make that clear. I think that's all for me tonight. Do you have another comment? Go ahead, Councilor.
You had also mentioned when there was a demonstration in the center of town back on June 6, 2020. Gail and I were out there in support. We wanted to, we walked with everybody through the center of town, up Wilson, down Walsh, and then back. And it was pretty amazing, especially how our police officers handled themselves. And they were respectful to everybody. And it went better than 99% of the demonstrations that went across the country. We should be proud of ourselves for what happened here. So.
Thank you. Any other council comment? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Council Maggie, second by Council Donahue. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Councilor Anna's absent. We stand adjourned at 8:25 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
I could just because I don't, if she doesn't get it, I don't want to get it wrong. You know,
I can clean it up and get it to everyone.